It's artisan.
Yojo and hello everyone. In today's video I'm very excited to show you guys how to make Saku Sai Moo. And Saku Sai Moo is basically a pork stuffed tapioca ball or pearl or dumpling. In Thai they call this Saku Sai Moo, but in Laos they call this Saku Sai. So I'll be showing you guys how to make it today. It's basically just tapioca pearls that's wrapped around a pork filling, and the pork is sweet and savory and so delicious. So I'll show you guys how to make it today. It's actually pretty easy. It's just a little time consuming, a little tedious, but as long as you get the techniques down and practice it a few times, you'll probably get the recipe down, and it's actually quite easy. I love eating these because they're so yummy and great with lettuce leaves and cilantro and peppers. So good. So yeah, let's go ahead and I'll show you guys how to make Saku Sai Moo, or also known as Saku Sai in Laos. It's gonna be super delicious. I'm so excited. Let's go. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is our filling. I want to make sure my filling is done and cooled down completely before we can actually roll it into tiny balls. So in the pan here I have about a tablespoon of oil, and I'm going to go ahead and add in some aromatics. And here I have some shallots, garlic, and cilantro stems that I put through the food processor really finely. All I did was I took about 2 shallots that I chopped up really small into the food processor, added about 6 to 7 cloves of garlic, and about 2 tablespoons of cilantro stems. You can also use cilantro roots if you do have it. And then put it through the food processor and just blitz it until it's really fine, and then this is what you get. So we are going to go ahead and saute that first to sweat it a little bit and to bring out the aromatics. Let's go ahead and add in the aromatics. I'm going to saute this for a good 2 to 3 minutes just to bring out the aroma flavor and just to sweat the shallots a little bit. Go ahead and add in some minced pork. I have about a pound of minced pork in here. Go ahead and add that into the aromatics. So we are going to saute this just until you don't see any more pinkness to it. So I'm going to go ahead and add in a little bit of salt just to season the pork. It's probably about like half a teaspoon of salt. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add in the preserved pickled radish here, and they're sweet and really salty. So usually what I like to do is take it and rinse it really well, probably 2 times, drain it, squeeze out any excess water, and chop it up into smaller bite-sized pieces. Go ahead and add all that in there. Okay, at this point, most of the pink has disappeared, so I'm going to go ahead and take this off the heat, and let's go ahead and put this in a separate plate, and we can go ahead and start caramelizing the sugar. Okay, so same pan here, I'm going to go ahead and add in some palm sugar. So here I have some palm sugar that I did my best to actually pound it into smaller chunks so it's easier to actually melt. This is about 8 ounces of palm sugar. Go ahead and add that into the pan. And all we're trying to do is melt the sugar and completely brown it. Basically just caramelizing the sugar. Stir this around so it gets evenly heated up. Make sure your heat is not overly high, because if it is really high it tends to burn really fast. So make sure you keep an eye on it as you go. And be careful because this is really hot sugar, so you don't want to burn yourself at this point. Nice, you don't see any more chunks, which is good. Okay, so it's nicely melted, and a lot of the chunks have disintegrated and melted nicely. Color a bit slightly darker, which is alright. So at this point, since the chunks are nicely melted, I'm going to go ahead and add in the pork that we stir fried earlier. So go ahead and add all of that in there. Stir this really good. There's still a lot of moisture in here, so we're going to cook out a little bit more of that moisture and caramelize the sugar a little bit more. because we do want this to actually form into a ball when it cools down. So at this point, we're just trying to caramelize the sugar a little bit more with the pork, and then we'll be pretty much almost done. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add in some black pepper. I have a mix of white and black pepper just because I like the flavor of the white pepper. If you guys don't have white pepper, just definitely use black pepper, but I'm going to do a combination of both. I have about a teaspoon of each in here. Alright, so this is caramelizing really nice. It's pretty much to the thickness that I really like and the consistency that I like. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and season this with some fish sauce. And then the last thing we're going to add is some roasted peanuts. So I have about half a cup of roasted peanuts that I finely chopped up in the food processor. So make sure it's super fine when you put this in there. Add that in there as well. And the filling is pretty much done at this point. Just mix it really well. But yes, you can see nicely done. Go ahead and turn off the heat, and I'm going to put this on a plate, and then we're going to cool it down because we want this completely cool before we can actually form it into balls. But you guys can look at what it looks like. Nice. So that should be good. I'm going to go ahead and cover this slightly with plastic wrap. And I'm just going to stick this in the refrigerator for up to like an hour, or just until it's nice and cooled enough to form it into a ball. I had to cool this down completely before I used it. It's just so it's a lot easier to form it into little balls. Yeah, we'll come back into this after it's nice and cooled. In the meantime, when the meat is cooling down, I'm going to go ahead and make some garlic oil. So in the pot here, I have about half a cup of vegetable oil, and I'm heating it up just on medium heat to fry up the oil. You guys can definitely just buy fried garlic and use that as a garnish, but I'm making my own fried garlic and using the fried garlic oil so I can coat the tapioca balls when they come out, and also use the fried garlic as the garnish. So I'm going to make myself some while the meat is cooling down. And I have some garlic here that I already minced up. This is it's probably 1/4 of a cup of minced chopped garlic here. Let's go ahead and add in the garlic. You can tell it's not completely sizzling, which is good. It just has a nice bubble to it. That means your temperature is good. You don't want this completely hot or else it's gonna burn. So I'm just gonna let that go until it becomes nice and golden and crispy. Okay, when you see that there's less bubbles on the top now, and this is when you want to keep an eye on the oil. Just make sure you do not completely golden brown it. You just want a slight brown to it, because we're going to take it off the heat and it's still going to continue cooking in the heat. So most of the garlic's floating to the top, which is nice. I see a little bit of brown coloring to it. It's almost there. Alright, that's good. I'm going to take that off the heat. Turn off the heat. Just around there. It's still a little bit white on some parts, but this is perfectly fine because it's still going to continue cooking in the oil when you take it off the heat. So this is a nice brown fried garlic. So I'm going to go ahead and strain this out, keep the oil, and put the fried garlic separately so we can garnish it. And that's about it for the fried garlic oil. Okay, let's look at the meat. It's nice and cool now. You can see this. Easy to work with. So at this point, we're just going to form this into tiny balls, and all you're going to do is just grab like, I don't know, a teaspoon worth of the filling, and you're just going to form this into nice size ball. Just like this. I'm going to continue doing this until all of the meat is used up, and then we can go ahead and work on our tapioca balls. Alright, so I finished rolling out the filling and I put it in the refrigerator while we take care of our tapioca pearls. So I'll show you guys how to do it. And I am using a 16-ounce bag of tapioca pearls. This whole bag in there. I have a bowl here. And go ahead and add all of that into your bowl. And then to this, I'm going to go ahead and add in just regular tap water. This is about 3 cups. Or just enough to cover the tapioca pearls on. And we're gonna let this sit for a good 5 minutes so that the tapioca pearls can actually soak up the water. And you guys will see it's gonna bloom up and rise to the top pretty quick. Okay, 5 minutes of soaking this. You guys can tell it's soaked up to the top really well. And not much water is left, which is good. But we're still gonna strain this. So I have a strainer here with the strainer over it. What I'm gonna do now is strain this excess water into the strainer. Okay, and at this point we're gonna let this strain for a good 15 to at least 20 minutes. So yeah, we're gonna set this aside and let it sit for a good 15 to 20 minutes just to drain any excess water. In the meantime, since I'm waiting for this to drain and I tend to have a lot of filling left over instead of tapioca left over, I'm gonna color some tapiocas just for fun. Okay, so we're just gonna have fun and color some tapioca with some colorings. I had some of these in my pantry. I'm gonna use it. These are just like the, what is it called? The blue butterfly pea flower that is ground up. Nice, beautiful blue color. And then I also have like the red, pink, fuchsia dragon fruit powder that they dried, freeze dried and powdered it up. I'm gonna use these to color it just for fun. If you guys don't have these, you don't have to use these. It's just for fun. I'm going to go ahead and add just maybe a scoop. I don't know. I've never done it before, so I just want to do this for fun. Ooh, it's so pretty. And then the blue one, I'm just going to do a little bit because this pea flower is actually quite strong in the color. So just a little bit. Stir this up. And we'll see if it works. This one's so pretty. Oh my gosh. And I have about like half a cup of the white tapioca pearls that I haven't colored yet. I'm just doing like half a cup because I don't think I'm going to do a whole bag. I don't need too much. I'm just going to go ahead and pour this over it and let it soak up and color. Same with the blue one. I guess we'll pour this over as well. And we'll let it soak for 5 minutes and see what happens. Alright, 5 minutes in, you guys can see it's soaking in the color really nice. I'm gonna go ahead and strain this the same thing. Strain this. And then let it sit for a good 15 to 20 minutes and let's see if it works. I'm draining the pink one now. And we'll come back and see how it is. Alright, so 15 minutes has passed. Let's go ahead and grab a new clean bowl and we're going to go ahead and put the tapioca pearls into the bowl. Okay, at this point you guys can definitely use it as it is like this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and massage this just so that I have some structure to actually work with when I put the filling in, because I did it once with just straight up tapioca pearls like this, but it's hard to actually wrap around the filling. So I'm going to massage it just a little bit so that I have some stickiness and structure to work with for the filling. You guys can see a little bit of stickiness coming through like that. That means it's good. We can actually use this. We're going to do the same thing to the color ones if you guys ended up coloring your tapioca pearls. And then we can go ahead and grab the filling and start rolling. Okay, filling's done. The tapioca pearls done. Now we can actually go ahead and make these into the actual shape. So I'm going to go ahead and take a small portion of this, probably like a tablespoon or so. Not too much. But I'm going to go ahead and flatten this down. And then we're going to go ahead and take the filling that we made earlier. And all you're going to do is cover the filling up as much as you can with the pearls. And that's about it. Make sure there's no filling showing up. Should be a nice, good, kind of thin layer of the tapioca, but you know, if you can't really handle it, definitely do a thick layer if you need to. But yeah, it should look like this. Nice, kind of golf size, I think. Place on the plate and just continue this until all of the pearls are used up. So yeah, it's pretty easy. Just continue rolling and covering any open spot that you see. So I finished rolling these out and filling it, but I still have this much left over, which I'm going to go ahead and use these with the color tapioca that I color. You can also freeze these, put it in a Ziploc bag, freeze it, and use it next time you want to make more, but I'm going to use it and try it out with the Tapioca Pearls that we colored just for fun. So this is the blue one. Same thing, I just kind of make sure you drain it really well. It should not be wet. If it's wet, it's hard to work with. Make sure you drain it really well so that you can actually use it properly. Same thing, I just kind of squish it a little bit so it's easy to work with. And there's that. Same thing, gonna put that around the filling. And we'll see how these cooks out. So yeah, I'm gonna finish all of these and then we can go ahead and start boiling them. Okay, so I finished forming all of these, even the white ones and the colored ones. But yeah, here's the white ones here, and then these are the colored ones that I made here as well. These pink ones were really soft, so I don't know if they're gonna work, but we'll see. The blue ones came out okay, but other than that, let's go ahead and cook these. So I have some boiling water here. You guys can definitely steam these tapioca balls. You can boil it. It's really up to you. I prefer to boil it just because it comes out a lot prettier too, but I like to boil it. So I'm gonna go and just drop it into the hot boiling water. Don't fill it too much though. You just want enough to give enough space for them to boil nicely. But at the same time, you guys can definitely steam this. You can put a banana leaf in your steamer and then just lay it on top of the banana leaf and then steam it until it's nice and translucent. But I'm gonna boil these until they come to the top and they become nice and translucent, and that should be it. So I'm just gonna fill it that much and just let that boil. So here's the garlic oil that we made. I strained out the fried garlic, and this is just the fried garlic oil. I'm gonna go ahead and have a plate. Make sure you have your plate ready. Make sure you go ahead and smear this with the garlic oil just so you have it ready for your cooked tapioca balls. And set this aside and have it ready next to the tapioca balls when they're ready. Okay, so if you see it's floating to the top and it's nice and translucent, that means it's all the way cooked. It's good. I'll show you guys what it looks like. Nice and translucent like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and scoop all of these out onto our oil plate and then we can serve it. Okay, so for every batch you do end up cooking, just make sure you oil it with the garlic oil so that it doesn't stick to each other, because it is tapioca pearls and it is tapioca and does like to stick to each other like this one. And then the fried garlic that we made earlier, we are going to just garnish this around and kind of coat it just so each tapioca ball has a piece of fried garlic on it. So that's pretty much done for that. Let's go ahead and serve it. I'll show you guys what we like to eat it with. Okay, I have a separate pot of hot boiling water for the colored ones. I'm going to go ahead and cook these and see how they turn out. Okay, we'll let that come back to a boil and see how it goes. Okay, make sure you mix it just so it doesn't stick to the bottom, but don't break it. Okay, that's good. We'll see what happens. Alright, so these has risen to the top, and let's go ahead and scoop them out. They're nice and ready. Alright, same thing. Go ahead and put some garlic oil on the top as well, just so that it doesn't stick to each other. Make sure you put it on the plate as well. And this one's pretty much ready. The blue one looks really pretty. The pink one's a little light, but the blue one is gorgeous. And again, let's go ahead and garnish this with some of the fried garlic again. Mix it really well. And this one is done. Oh my gosh, they look so good. Okay, let's go ahead and serve it. Okay, so I have a plate here with some lettuce leaf and some cilantro, fresh cilantro from our garden. So good. And then I'm gonna go ahead and place the tapioca balls onto the plate you're gonna be serving on. Woo! Okay, so if you guys want, you can definitely add more fried garlic on top as garnish. At the end, basically, I'm gonna go ahead and add some peppers here. These are dried peppers that I reheated to make them crispy and nice and flavorful again. So you guys can definitely get fresh Thai chili peppers, works just as fine. But you can put chilies here, so for people who want it extra spicy when they wrap it. And that's about it, super easy. And this is what it looks like on the inside. It's nice and sweet and savory on the inside, and nice and chewy and translucent on the outside. So delicious. Okay, so I'll show you guys how do we eat it. We'll take a piece of the lettuce here. Go ahead and add in one of the ball. And then if you guys want, you can add the chili pepper in there. I'm probably just gonna do like a quarter of it just for a kick. And then I really like cilantro in there, so I'm gonna add in a piece of cilantro. Like this. You're gonna go ahead and fold it up like that. And you can just eat it. It's glistening.